Jason stepped off the shuttle, his boots sinking into the soft blue grass of Valheria. The air was warm and smelled like sweet rain. Birds with crystal wings flew above, and tall trees with glowing leaves swayed gently in the wind. It was his first mission as a cultural translator, and he was excited but nervous. The Valhurans were peaceful but very private. They didn't allow machines to scan their minds. That's why the humans sent Jason. He was trained to use a new translator. Device one that could convert spoken human language into Valharan speech and back. A group of tall, elegant aliens approached. Their skin shimmered like pearls and they moved with silent grace. In the center of the group stood a young alien woman. She looked different. Smaller, younger, with large violet eyes and long white hair. She wore a dress made of floating silk that seemed to glow. "She is Princess Syria," said one of the older Valharans. "Speak with respect, human." Jason smiled politely and bowed his head. He pressed the translator button on his chest and said in a soft voice, "It's an honor to meet you, Princess. Your beauty could silence galaxies." Translator blinked blue. Then red dot suddenly gasps filled the courtyard. Syria's eyes widened. Her lips parted in shock. Then she dropped to her knees in front of him. Her face was red and her hands trembled. Jason's smile froze. The Valharan guards stepped back, their eyes wide with fear and surprise. One of them whispered. He said the binding words, ... Jason looked around, confused. "Wait, what? What? Binding words? I just gave her a compliment." Syria looked up at him. "You ... have chosen me?" she whispered, her voice so soft it almost disappeared in the air. Jason blinked. "Chosen you? For what?" Before he could say more, the elder stepped forward. His face was pale. "Human, you may not understand what you've done, but by our law your words have power." You just spoke the ancient bonding phrase. The same phrase our ancestors used to claim their mates. Jason froze. No, that can't be. The translator must have glitched. The elder ignored him. "The princess is now yours. You must complete the ritual." Jason's mind spun. "I didn't mean to say that. I only said she's beautiful." The translator device on his chest continued to glow red, a sign of ritual confirmation. Syria stood up slowly, still trembling. "Then I belong to you now," she said, lowering her eyes. "Tonight I shall begin the preparation." Jason raised both hands. "Wait, there's a mistake." But the guards were already surrounding them, bowing low. One gently guided Syria toward a silver door. She glanced back at Jason once with a strange mix of fear and acceptance in her eyes. Before vanishing into the building, the elder placed a heavy hand on Jason's shoulder. "You will be taken to your quarters. You must not leave until the ritual is done." Jason was stunned. "What ritual? What are you people talking about?" But no one answered. Two guards escorted him down a hallway lit by floating lights. The walls were smooth and curved, as if grown instead of built. Jason's translator kept flashing, struggling to process Valharan's speech. But something was clearly wrong. Finally, Jason was led into a chamber filled with soft pillows and scented steam. It looked like a honeymoon suite. "Rest," said one. "Guard, she will join you tonight." The doors shut behind him. Jason sat down, heart pounding. "Okay," he whispered to himself. "Let's go over this again. I said she was beautiful," the translator said. "What?" "A bonding phrase." He tapped the device. The screen was cracked. Static flashed across it. Jason groaned. Oh no. He didn't know what the exact phrase was. Didn't know what it meant to the Valharans. All he knew was that one. Small glitch. One wrong translation had just turned a diplomatic visit into something far more dangerous. And tomorrow, it might be too late to undo it. Asterisk Princess Syria sat alone in the cleansing room, a silent chamber surrounded by glowing walls of warm light. Steam rose from the sacred pool behind her, but she didn't move. Her heart pounded like drums in her chest. The moment Jason had spoken the bonding phrase, her world had changed. She had trained all her life for this. the first offering, the ancient tradition. It was said to be beautiful, holy, a sacred gift given only once by a pure-hearted royal to her destined mate, but she hadn't expected it to happen today. Not with a human, not with a stranger whose eyes were kind, but whose words, if they were true, had just chosen her forever. Was it real? She whispered, placing her hand over her heart. Did he truly mean it? Behind a silk curtain, her royal attendants whispered, "She must prepare. She must not resist. The law is clear. She should be honored. The stars have chosen." Syria shut her eyes. She wasn't afraid of the human. His eyes didn't burn with hunger like other suitors. He had looked confused, almost guilty. But guilt could come later. Right now, her people expected her to fulfill the ritual. The royal maid stepped forward, holding a silver robe and a bottle of soft oils. "You must wear this," she said gently. "You will see you tonight." Syria took the robe with trembling. "Fingers, do you think? He wants this?" The maid hesitated, said the words, "My lady, that is all that matters." Jason sat on the edge of the strange bed, staring at the walls. The lights pulsed gently like a heartbeat. He felt trapped like a prisoner in a luxury cage. His hands shook as he opened his communicator. "Command, this is Jason. I need urgent help. Something's gone wrong." No response. The translator device was still flashing red. He tapped the cracked screen. "Stupid thing," he muttered. "Why did it have to fail at that exact moment?" He stood and paced. "Okay, think. Jason, they think you claimed the princess? You didn't, but they believe you did. She believes you did. And now she's probably getting ready for something you're not even allowed to say out loud." Stopped, staring at the closed door. "I need to fix this before tonight." Outside the room, Syria walked slowly down the corridor. She wore the ceremonial robe now, white and soft, with silver stars stitched into the sleeves. Her feet were bare, and her long hair flowed behind her like a waterfall of moonlight. Her hands clenched tightly, not because she was scared of Jason, but because she feared he would reject her. In her culture, rejection after the bond wasn't just sad, it was shameful. It marked her forever. No male would accept her after that. Her body, her name, her family honor, all would be stained. "If he sends me away," she thought, "I will no longer be a princess. I will be forgotten." But deep inside, she remembered the way he looked at her, gentle, not like the others. Maybe he didn't know what he said. But maybe. She stopped outside the door. Heart racing, the guard gave a small bow and opened it. Jason turned sharply when he heard the door slide open. Syria entered, her eyes down, her posture graceful. She didn't speak at first. She walked across the room and stood near the steam basin like she had practiced her whole life for this moment. Jason stared. "Syria, wait, we need to talk." She looked up slowly, "I think." "Lost in translation," he said carefully. "I didn't mean to claim you. That's not what I meant." Syria's breath caught. Her eyes widened. "You did not choose me?" Jason hesitated. "I don't want to hurt you. But this is all a big mistake." The translator was broken. It's never meant to say the bonding words. Her face paled. She stumbled back a step. Double quotes. "No, ... the phrase." Jason walked toward her, hands raised gently. "I think the machine said something different than I did." Tears formed in her eyes. "So ... you don't want me?" Jason froze. "No, that's not." She turned away, shoulders trembling. "If you say it again, I must go. The law is clear." Jason looked into her eyes. Something in him broke. Little he didn't want to shame her. He didn't want her to feel unworthy. So he said the only thing that felt right. "I don't understand your laws, but I swear this eye will never hurt you." Syria's lips parted, and for the first time, she smiled. The room felt too quiet. Jason sat near the steam basin, the alien walls glowing a soft pink around him. He had just told Syria he never meant to say the sacred words. He had tried to explain, tried to stop things before they went too far. But now, ... she was still here. She hadn't left. Syria stood across the room, staring at him like she was reading his soul. Her hands were folded in front of her, her silver robe gently brushing the floor. She looked calm, But her eyes told a different story. They shimmered like glass about to crack. "You don't want to shame me," she said softly. "But you also don't want to touch me. Am I that disgusting?" Jason flinched. "No, that's not what I meant at all. You're beautiful. But where I come from, this kind of bond, ... it takes time." Surya tilted her head. "We don't have time. The council expects a union tonight." Jason stood up, careful not to make sudden moves. "Listen, I'm trying to be honest with you. This all happened because my translator broke." "I didn't even know what I said," the translator Surya interrupted. "Yes, the holy device that speaks your true heart. Even if you didn't mean it, it chose the words." Jason blinked. "You believe the machine more than me?" Surya stepped closer, her voice barely a whisper. "Your people created tools that don't lie. My people created laws that punish liars. Do you see our problem now?" Jason didn't answer. The door behind him locked with a soft click. Neither of them turned, but both heard it. "You are not allowed to leave until dawn," Surya said. "That is part of the tradition." Jason frowned. "Being locked in here with you?" She nodded. "It is the test of intention. But if the bond is real, the couple shares the chamber. If it is not, the dishonor will fall on me alone." Jason sighed and rubbed his eyes. This is a nightmare. But when he looked up, he saw her trembling slightly. Not out of fear, but out of shame. He softened his voice. "You don't have to go through this because of a broken machine. I can fix this. I'll talk to the council. I'll explain everything. You don't deserve to suffer for a glitch." Surya walked to the corner and gently sat down on a cushion. "You think they will listen? You are the one who spoke the words. I am the one who obeyed them. To them, this is sacred." Jason looked around the room. No windows, no escape. Just soft lights, cushions, steam, and her looking at him like she was waiting for judgment. He sat back down across from her. Minutes passed in silence. Then, without warning, Jason's translator device sparked. He jumped, yanked it off, and stared at the screen. The red glow had turned purple. Error code. Incomplete data. Language misalignment. He swallowed hard. "Oh no, I didn't say a bonding phrase. I said, 'Your beauty could stop stars.' It must have misread it." He looked at Surya. "Do you understand now?" Surya blinked. "You meant it as a compliment?" He nodded. She looked away. Her voice cracked. "Then I offered myself, ... for nothing." Jason stood and knelt beside her. "Not for nothing, you trusted me. That means something." She glanced at him. "And what will you do now, human?" Jason smiled weakly. "Survive the night. Without breaking any more ancient rules." She chuckled just a little. "That may be impossible." And then slowly, she lay down on the cushion, her back too. Jason lay on the opposite side of the room, arms folded behind his head, staring at the glowing ceiling. Two people. One mistake. One night, and a locked door between tradition and truth. Asterisk, the soft light in the room slowly faded to twilight blue. Jason lay awake, eyes wide open, listening to the sound of Surya's breathing across the room. It was calm, slow-like, a whisper in the silence. But his own thoughts screamed inside his head. He had to get out of this situation. Not because he disliked her, but because this entire ritual was based on a machine's broken words. He sat up, quietly took the translator device from beside him and started working. The cracked screen flickered, lines of alien text blinking. On and off, the phrase, log, was corrupted. The speech code was wrong. The entire thing had flipped one word, galaxies, into soulbond. Jason groaned. So I complimented her beauty. The device turned it into a mating vow. He tapped the emergency override, nothing. Then he tried to contact the ship's AI command. "Come in, I need translator backup." Priority 1. No signal. The Velharans had blocked all transmissions during the trial night, calling it sacred. Silence. No contact, no intervention, no exit until dawn. He was alone. Suddenly Surya stirred. Jason quickly hid the device, and pretended to be adjusting his seat. She sat up slowly, her hair falling over her shoulders like silver water. Eyes caught his across the dim room. Couldn't sleep? She asked softly. Jason forced a smile. Too much to think about. She stood and walked closer, barefoot and quiet. You don't need to fear me, Jason. I'm not here to trap you. He stayed still. I know. I just wish I could fix the misunderstanding. Surya knelt down near him, close enough that he could smell the warm herbal oils in her hair. I've been trained for this moment my whole life, she whispered. Not for you, but for someone worthy. I thought the words came from your heart. Jason looked down. They didn't. The machine glitched. I know, she said gently. He looked at her, confused. Surya nodded. I saw it in your eyes. You were shocked, scared even. But I stayed because I wanted to see who you were beyond the accident. Jason exhaled. Then we can explain that to your elders. We can stop this. Surya's face darkened. It's not that simple. You were already placed into the sacred bond trial. If the ritual fails now, I will be exiled. They will say I'm cursed. Jason frowned. That's insane. Just explain the tech malfunction. No, she said, shaking her head. They don't care about machines. They care about honor, about fate. If the bond breaks, I become unworthy of any future mate. Jason stood, his fists clenched. That's not fair. He didn't ask. For this? She stood too. It doesn't matter. He stared at her. Maybe it's time someone breaks the rules. Before Surya could respond, the chamber lights flared red. A warning tone echoed through the room. Violation detected. Unauthorized data access attempted. The room spoke in Velharan tongue, but the translator glitched again, making the voice sound like a distant scream. Jason's face paled. I think the AI caught me trying to override the protocol. The doors hissed but didn't open. Instead, a sharp clang rang out as security locks engaged. Oh no, Jason muttered. They've sealed us in tighter. Surya rushed to the wall and placed her hand on a glowing panel. Thinks you're trying to escape the trial? That's a dishonor response. It will alert the council. Jason cursed under his breath. I wasn't trying to run. I was trying to prove the truth. She turned to him, eyes wide. Truth doesn't matter in the trial room. Only behavior does. He slumped to the floor. Then I just made it worse. She knelt beside him again. No, you made a choice. You tried to protect me, even when your own reputation could suffer. Jason looked at her. But I'm not your soulmate, Surya. She smiled faintly. Maybe not by fate, but by action. You might be closer than you think. For a long moment, they just sat there. Two strangers caught between ancient laws and modern errors. Outside the sealed doors, guards gathered. Inside, Jason made a quiet vow. If he couldn't fix the past, he would fight to protect her future. The red lights faded. The room calmed, but inside Jason, everything was spinning. He had tried to fix the mistake. Instead, he triggered the chamber's lockdown and sent a false alarm through the Velharan system. Now he was trapped in a room with a princess who believed she had no future if he rejected her, and whose people believed this entire ritual was sacred and irreversible. He sat with his back against the wall, running his hands through his hair. Across the room, Surya was silent. Again, she sat on her knees, staring at the floor, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Her white ceremonial robe shimmered faintly in the warm glow. Finally, Jason spoke. You don't have to stay on that side of the room like a prisoner, she looked up, eyes tired. I am not a prisoner. I am the offering. Jason frowned. That's exactly what I'm afraid of. She stood slowly and walked toward him, soft steps, like she was afraid she might scare him. But she wasn't scary. She looked ... sad, determined, resigned. She sat beside him, close. Too close. Jason felt his heart race. Surya, you don't have to say anything, she said softly. You already tried to escape. You've done more than anyone else ever has. I didn't try to escape you, he said quickly. I tried to escape this system, this ... ritual. I hate that you feel trapped by it. She smiled faintly. Not like the others. Valharan males never ask how I feel. Jason looked into her eyes. They were glowing gently in the dark violet and full of unshed tears. I don't want to hurt you, he said. I want you to have a choice. She leaned her head slightly against his shoulder. Then let this moment be mine. Jason swallowed. Hard? What do you mean? I mean, she said, closing her eyes, that if I must lose everything tomorrow, at least tonight I will choose it myself. Not because of a translator, not because of the law, because you were kind. When you didn't have to be. Jason felt frozen. Her hand brushed against his. She didn't demand anything. She didn't beg. She simply chose to be close to him. The heat between them was enforced. It was fragile, honest. Painful hours passed. Jason couldn't remember falling asleep, but he woke just before dawn, disoriented, warm. And aware of weight beside him, he opened his eyes and realized Saria was curled up gently against his chest, fully clothed, peaceful, but holding onto his arm like it was her anchor. He didn't move. He barely breathed. Then he remembered. Did I say anything in my sleep? He panicked quietly, trying to remember his dreams. Had he whispered her name? Had he murmured something the translator could have picked up? Suddenly, the translator device beeped just once. Low and ominous. Jason grabbed it and saw a single phrase logged in the night. She's mine. Confirmed. Consent accepted. Jason's heart dropped. Oh no, he whispered. I must have said that in my sleep. The door slid open. Valharan guards entered in silence. Behind them, the high priestess stepped in, tall, ancient, her skin pale like moonstone. She looked at Syria, curled beside Jason, and nodded solemnly. It is done, she said. Jason stood slowly. Wait, I didn't mean. Syria gently touched his arm. Don't fight it now. If they believe the ritual is complete, you've saved me from exile. But I didn't mean to bond with you, Jason said quietly. She looked into his eyes. I know, she replied. But in your sleep, when your heart forgot the rules, ... you did. Jason stared at her. She wasn't mocking him. She wasn't crying. She was simply accepting the fate the galaxy had forced onto them both, and maybe, just maybe, she no longer feared it. Jason stood in the middle of a glowing circle. The council hall felt like a living creature, its walls pulsing softly, breathing like lungs. Light orbs floated above, watching like silent eyes. Surrounding him were the 12 Valharan elders. Each of them wore robes of different shades, one for each moon of their planet. But their faces were cold, still, judging. Syria stood to his right, dressed in her white ceremonial gown, but now with a silver sash tied around her waist. Mark of a completed first offering. Jason's throat was dry. He hadn't meant for any of this to happen. A glitch. A phrase. A sleep-murmured sentence, and now, the fate of a girl and the wrath of a whole species rested on him. The high priestess raised a hand. Human, you stand before us accused of manipulating our sacred ritual, performing the bond under false intention. Speak now. Did you claim the princess with truth in your heart? Jason hesitated. Every word mattered now. I didn't come here to take anyone, he began. I came as a translator, a guest. The device I was given made a mistake. It changed my words. The bonding phrase was never spoken, not by me, not on purpose. The room murmured. The oldest elder leaned forward. At the ritual log says you accepted the offering in your sleep. Jason looked down. I was asleep. I didn't know what I was saying. Another elder barked. Then it was your soul speaking, not your tongue. The crowd of onlookers behind the circle gasped. Jason turned to Saria, who kept her head bowed. He didn't expect her to defend him, but she stepped forward. I will speak, she said clearly. The elders went silent. I don't care what the machine recorded, she said. I don't care what he said in sleep. I made a choice fully. Awake, I stayed in that room. I offered myself freely, not because of a phrase, but because of who he is. One of the elders snapped. "And what is he, child?" She looked at Jason, then back to them. "He's the only one who ever looked at me like I mattered. Not as a tool, not as a reward, not as a duty, just as someone he wanted to protect." Chamber held its breath. Jason turned to her, surprised. Her voice trembled slightly, but her words were firm. Even when he realized the mistake, he tried to fix it. "He risked exile. He risked offending you all to protect my honor." Another elder growled, "He is not one of us. His blood is strange. His kind doesn't understand our ways." Saria took a bold step toward the circle. "And maybe it's time our ways changed." Murmurs rose from the crowd. The council looked shaken for the first time. The high priestess stood. Her long robes dragged across the stone as she moved closer to Jason. "You claim this was all an accident?" she said. "Yet, would you reject the princess now, knowing what it would cost her?" Jason froze. That question was the real trial. He looked at Syria. Her eyes weren't pleading. She wasn't begging. She stood tall, proud, as if ready to be cast. Out he could lie. He could save himself. Or, no, he said quietly, "I wouldn't reject her." A quiet gasp rippled through the hall. "Because in all this chaos," he continued, "I saw her strength, her kindness, her fire. I don't care how it started. I care about who she is now. And I don't want to see her suffer for something that wasn't her fault." The high priestess stared deep into his eyes. "Then speak the words clearly awake. By will, not by error." Jason stepped forward, took Syria's hands, and said, in a firm, calm voice, "Syria, I choose you." The hall went still. Then, the priestess turned to the council and said, "Let it be written, not by law, not by mistake, but by will." The crowd erupted in gasps and applause. Jason didn't even notice. He was still looking at Syria, whose eyes had filled with tears, but her smile was brighter than any light in the room. The stars above Valharia sparkled brighter that night, in the open courtyard. Jason stood beside Soraya under the glowing twin moons. Soft petals floated down from the hanging trees above, a tradition to mark the end of a bonding ceremony. But this time, the petals weren't just for beauty. They were a symbol of something new, a bond, not born from law, or ritual, or machine, but from choice. Syria reached out, her fingers gently brushing Jason's. "You still look nervous," she whispered. Jason chuckled softly. "I just made a lifelong commitment to someone I met 5 days ago." "You're lucky," she teased. "Some Valharan couples meet minutes before the ritual." Jason raised an eyebrow. "That's terrifying." She smiled. They walked together, across the garden path, toward the temple doors. The council had offered them a new chamber, not as prisoners, but as guests of honor, a place where they could rest at last. But before they entered, Jason stopped. He pulled out the damaged translator device. "I still want to know," he said. "What exactly did I say the first time when all this began?" Saria tilted her head. "Does it matter now?" "I think it does," he said. "We've been through all of this because of a broken machine. But I want to hear the truth. The real words I said, without the glitch." She nodded. Jason handed the device to a Valharan technician who had repaired its memory core. The old man placed it into a crystal reader and tapped a few glowing runes. A soft voice played. Jason's voice, cracked, nervous, but clear. "It's an honor to meet you, princess. Your beauty could stop stars." Silence. Syria blinked. Jason laughed a little. "That's it? That's what started a sacred mating ritual?" The technician stepped back. "That's not what triggered the bond." Jason frowned. "Then what did?" The technician pressed another rune, another recording. Played a whisper, Jason's voice from when he had fallen asleep beside her. "She's mine. No matter what happens, I'll protect her." Jason froze. The words weren't romantic. They weren't planned. They were raw, real. Saria looked at him, her eyes shimmering. "You didn't just say it," she whispered. "You meant it." Jason felt something shift in his chest. That moment in the trial chamber, it wasn't just a mistake. Somewhere deep inside, he had already chosen her before his mouth ever did. I guess my heart spoke first, said. Syria stepped closer, then let mine answer. She reached into her robe and revealed a small, glowing stone, sacred to her people. Valharan women only offered it once in a lifetime. Jason swallowed. That's the real bonding ritual, isn't it? She nodded. Not given by accident, not forced by law. It's freely offered, and only accepted by someone who understands what it means. Jason took her hand and closed his fingers over the stone. I accept. A warm light glowed between them, not from technology, but something ancient, deeper than science. The stone melted into their joined palms, marking them with a symbol only the Valharan people could read. It meant chosen without chains. Later, as they sat beneath the starlight, Jason leaned back and looked at Syria. So, we survived a mistranslation, a lockdown, and a public trial. Syria smirked, and you still chose me, even after I almost sacrificed you to tradition. Jason grinned. Worth it. She rested her head on his shoulder. Now that the bond is real, what happens next? Jason looked up at the stars. I think we write our own translation from now on.